Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Cut and Reduce Costs Through a Crisis by Mary Philippou. Today, you are listening using your computer speaker system by default. You will have the opportunity to submit questions to Mary by typing them into the questions pane on the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end. Today's webinar is proudly sponsored by Entity Brands, home to 13 of the world's largest uniform brands, including Nike and Port Authority. The power of the brands is in your hands at entitybrands.com.au. To give a brief introduction on today's presenter, Mary Philippou has achieved what many women in business strive to accomplish by successfully combining a career in business while maintaining a healthy marriage and family life for 30 years. Mary holds a firm belief in a work-life balance and is continually recognised by her peers for her high-energy approach to business. Mary's exposure to the business world came at an early age when she began assisting her father in the family business. In 1985, Mary entered into a partnership with another family member to create Gunnet Sweats, a brand of leisure wear. Her belief in her product, combined with integrity, hard work and determination, helped create a brand and become established in major department stores, retail and resorts throughout Australia. Due largely to Mary's hands-on approach to the business, Gunnet achieved annual sales of over $1 million and steady growth figures over 8 years of operation. The early 90s made way for Mary to enter the corporate sector as she began her own company, Corporate Innovations. Corporate Innovations provides a high-quality range of branded promotional merchandise to companies Australia-wide. Mary again applies her passion for business, ensuring nothing short of excellence in customer service. Her professionalism and eye for detail is applied to every stage of the project, including design and product development right through to delivery. Since beginning Corporate Innovations, Mary has been awarded several honours within the industry, including 2 Australian Achiever Awards, one for marketing and public relations, the other for fashion clothing service and supply. In 2010, along with Corporate Innovations, Mary turned her attention to assisting others in building successful businesses for the New Entrepreneurs Innovative Scheme. Mary represented Swinburne University, Kangan Institute and RMIT University as a business mentor, sounding board and small business advisory. Late 2019, Mary has written her book, Show Me the Money, a step-by-step guide for making money. I will now hand this over to Mary.
Good morning. Thank you, Ida. That was fantastic. Nice to hear from you again. Hello, everybody. We're going to break the glass as this is an emergency. So we're heading into another crisis, and we all live in scary times at the moment. We're all panicking. We're worried about where our next sale is going to come from. We're worried about our costs. For some of us, we have seen it before. We've seen a depression, a recession, a GFC, and now we have this. Now, I wish to share with you, in the early 90s, I experienced my first recession. So as Ida mentioned, I had a manufacturing business. We manufactured upmarket tracksuits and we sold them Australia-wide. During this recession in 1990s, early 1990, we achieved our sales, but our profit margins were low. So we had a lot of costs, and then we had to look at ways to cut those costs. So during that period of time, I had to dismiss our staff, relocate our factories and all sorts of stuff. So this led us to a liquidation. We had to liquidate our company because we had our sales achieved, but unfortunately we had no profit margin in our business. So I had to then decrease our sales, and then we cut all our costs. And I was hands-on in administrating all of those costs with liquidators, with accountants, and sell all our assets like factory, cars, and product and equipment. So I have seen this before, and I know how to navigate through this, and I'm hoping to share you some interesting facts about how we can cut those costs. So this session is for those whom failure is simply not an option. So I want to be able to reach out to you and say, it's okay, we're going to navigate through this, we can help you through this. And it's just another crisis in our economy. We're fortunate at this point in time that the governments are supporting businesses and families. So that's all good. What I wish to share, I'll just go back a little bit, sorry. What I wish to share, so my story in corporate innovation, so I shared with you in 1990. So after Gunnett Sweats, I went into the corporate side of our business. So I sold our equipment and machinery to a manufacturer. And then from the business being all finished up and cleared up, I then made contact with the manufacturer that bought all my equipment. So then Corporate Innovations was born. So I then targeted the uniform marketplace and merchandise. So then my journey began in made to order and receiving monies up front, 50% deposits up front. So from a retail platform to a made to order platform was so much better cash flow, and I was able to get all our costs up front. So that was fantastic. However, in 2004, I experienced another crisis in my business. So this is when, many of you may remember, but 2004, this is when the Chinese imports flooded into our shores. The internet came in, and you may remember that customer relations, integrity, and all that may have gone out the window. And then it was all about price. Well, I certainly experienced that. In 1 week, I lost $300,000 in sales. And they were a combination of 3 clients, because I had many clients that did very high turnover, and I had them for over 10 years. So I took this very personally. I lost $300,000 in 1 week, and it was due to people wanting a cheaper product. So they looked at my competition, my competitors, and then I had to react quickly and commence the cut down to reduce costs. And these are the steps that I took to contact, communicate, and negotiate. So that brings us to, first of all, what I did. I firstly nicely had to get rid of one of my employees. I had a bookkeeper who did all my administration for several days a week, and she was a contractor, so that was easily navigated. She was kept on board to help me navigate through the costs. But we looked at the work cover, stock insurances, and all that. So it's important. The cost involved with business insurances, from work cover to stock insurance, income protection if you have any, trauma policy, can be a substantial to a business. So here we've got to be sure that we are receiving the best financial outcomes for for these areas. So we need to speak to your insurance companies, your brokers if they're involved. Now's the time to looking at all these insurances. Don't be frightened to change providers. I have learnt over many years, I was a very loyal person in business, but been hurt so many times that my loyalty became the same to the bottom line as what I can afford to pay my bills to my creditors and to my banks. And so I was out to look for the best price. So you will toughen up over the years, as I have done over 30 years. And you need to do that. So contact your insurance brokers or your insurance companies. Communicate and negotiate your premiums. Now that might be higher. What I would do is you could also try high excess fees, highest excess, and then reduce your premium on a month to month or a year to year, whatever you're paying. And also don't be afraid to shop this around with several companies. I would always shop around with 3 quotes, and I would get the best possible price, and be confident that you are happy with what you're getting, because at the end of the day, it's about survival in your business. Now, whilst this time sales will be slow perhaps, but the first thing that you can control are your costs. The cost is the one thing you can control, and you can do that no problem. So don't be afraid to change providers, save money wherever you can to improve your cash flow. So we need to improve that cash flow. Tax planning. So with the ATO, now we're all been across the COVID-19 and what the incentives the governments are now giving us. It's changing on a day-to-day. So don't be frightened to be across this. If you employ staff, and at the beginning it was saying, we had to retrench our staff or, make them redundant and pay out and all sorts of things. But now the government has turned around, okay, through JobKeeper or JobSeeker, we can keep staff now and get them back into the employment so we can keep our business afloat for the next 6 months perhaps. So you're able to speak to the ATO, okay? I know you can't physically get on the line because I have tried and they're not responding, but don't be frightened to send emails and address your situation. If you don't negotiate and communicate your own situation, no one's going to do it for you. So don't be frightened. My biggest 5 steps in business is proactive and being perseverance. We have to be proactive in this time and to address these issues, because you know what? It's about you and your family and your creditors and your employees or your contractors. So the government's ATO are across all this, so you can withhold payroll tax, you can withhold your GST. So the government incentives are there to support businesses, employees in a number of forms. So whether you have a company or whether you're a sole trader, you are eligible to receive support and some monies to help you through this difficult time. In addition, always be certain that you contact your accountant, not a bookkeeper, an accountant to your business that can answer your questions and can get across these to help you navigate through these times. They are across all the incentive schemes and they're up to date with whatever current update they have on the coronavirus and what is available to you as a business owner. So once again, be proactive and communicate. Now, in an office or a warehouse, so many of you will have warehouses, many of you will operate in smaller areas, but once again, if you're paying rent and it's a large rent, speak to your landlords. Once again, this has been covered in the news. I am also a landlord, so I am also working with my tenants and trying to negotiate what works for both. Fortunately, they're safe and we're able to continue our arrangements, but I'm always there to listen if they have a problem so I can then work with them. So don't be frightened to speak to them. Once again, communicate and negotiate an outcome that suits you. If you have a large space, think about perhaps, now this is a time of opportunity, guys. It's a time where we're in a crisis, so opportunities will come. So think laterally, speak to colleagues or speak to people in similar situations and share your space with other people. You might have a big area and you might store some boxes and you've got some areas there where you can put an office there with a graphic designer perhaps, or you'll be able to put a bookkeeper in there, someone that can share your space. So if you've got a large area, you can navigate through that, and you can sublet that. So if you're suffering and have a severe downturn in your revenue on your premises, you can speak to the governments about that too, but also firstly speak to your landlords, and then look outside where you can perhaps put others in to sublease that. And that might be a good thing for the future, because if you don't need all that space, now's the time to have additional income come in. So look at those benefits and take action to look into that. Now, with the banks. Now, for many of you, I'm sure we have a product business and we need overdrafts or large credit cards or whatever that may be. So speak to your banks and negotiate your loans. There are many ways to help business owners. So speak to the banks about how you can perhaps freeze your overdraft, where you can extend your overdraft and maybe not be charged extra interest. Currently, banks are offering flexibility with business loans with a range of products designed to assist your business in as far as loan repayments. Once again, communicate and negotiate with them, and if they can't help you at your bank, there are other banks. Don't be frightened to look at other banks. Everyone will have something to offer. You got to remember, they're all looking for new business and you're no different. So if your bank can't help you, go to the next one. If they can't help you, you go to the next one. You keep going till you get what you need to negotiate your loans. Also, if you're using credit cards to pay back creditors, smaller amounts, look into other perhaps credit cards that offering less interest rates. So look at all your options. There are many banks, and believe me, when one works one way, the other will follow through. So that's easy to navigate through there. On our next slide, now staff costs, wages, contractors. Now, once again, this will depend on the size of your business. Now, there's probably a few sole traders out there that work with themselves, and then you might have a couple of casual staff coming in to assist. So, once again, look at the cost of those. Look at the cost of those staff, the staff that cost you money. Work out a way that you can probably try and keep them on board, and go and speak to them. They're like us. We all need the work. So communicate with them, see if you can put them on a contract basis where it's an hourly rate or something like that. Now, in your administration area, it's important as a business owner that you focus on sales. Someone's got to focus on bringing in the sales. So look at virtual assistants. Look at virtual assistants where they can come across your, do all your administration, your invoicing and all those sort of things. So work out a way that would work across that. And also, once again, the government has set up incentive schemes for business owners and sole traders. You can apply for these through my.gov, and you can start getting relief as quick as, May, I believe, is the first one coming through. Once again, it depends on the size of your company, but there are ways to navigate through these costs as well. Just work out what's best for you and which area you need them in. If you have warehousing and you've got pick and packing, try and limit that to, 1 or 2 persons, or if you've got 5, and maybe rotate your staff around for everyone to share a little bit of income. Once again, these incentives vary from business to business and cover from large business down to sole traders. So once again, any queries you have on this, your first point of call is your accountant. Don't speak to another colleague. Your accountant is your main man to go to. So navigate with your accountant. Now, our next slide is debtors. Now, in my business, in any business, for me, debtors, we don't have cash flow, we are out of business. So cash flow is king, and we need to be able to have a system where we can collect our debtors regularly. Now, for a lot of companies that I've experienced, business owners tend to forget about collecting debtors. So they focus on sales, but we've really got to nominate someone to collect the monies that are due to come in. So what I would suggest you do is, if you have a print off a debtors listing, and you'll be able to get that, I'm sure, from your bookkeeper or yourselves. You have a system where you can create your debtors listing, print that out, highlight those customers that owe you money in particularly 60 to 90 days. I hope they're not in 120 days, but I have seen that many a time, that people are frightened. People in doing sales are frightened to collect money from their customers. Don't be afraid. You are supplying a product and a service, so you've got to collect your money. So highlight those monies that are owed to you, and then, ring your customers and communicate with them. They're as human as we are, and They know you've got a business and they know you're facing tough times. So speak to them. Say, listen, Harry, you've built rapport, you've built a relationship, so they know they owe you money, and you're just going to say, we've got $5,000 outstanding. How can we collect this weekly or efficiently as quick as possible so I can pay my creditors and organise a payment plan? It doesn't matter if it's $100 a week. Instead of waiting 120 days, you would have had that paid off and paid in, and you can move on to the next debtor. So collect your monies. Don't be frightened to collect your money. People are worried about money, but this money is for you to invest back into your business, to pay your bills, pay your staff, and get more stock. So please do your collections, collect all your late debtors income from your customers, and get that cycling back into your business. It's very important. Remember, no cash flow, you're out of business. So that's really important. Okay, creditors is also on the same side. So creditors, these are people we owe money to. Now, we all know it's important that we have these guys because, we've got to ring T-Shirt Corp for those T-shirts, and we've got to ring Shiny Embroidery to do our embroidery, and we've got to ring all these other companies, and Epicenter for all your fleecies and whatever merchandise is coming your way. But, once again, you have built rapport with your creditors. They understand the downturn and they understand this crisis. So communicate with them, have staggering payments to your creditors. So on the other hand, on your debtors, you're collecting your creditors now, but you're speaking to your creditors and you're communicating, and be honest, they know, you're collecting X amount of money. It's coming in. I can then pay off my, my invoice of 2,000 Ts, and I can do it in, 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks. They're happy to have some sort of payment plan. Remember, those that don't communicate honestly are the ones that are hiding. So to relieve the pressure of your cash flow, give it outside the other way, like you're doing it with your landlord, like you're doing it with your creditors now. So it's the same thing. Create a plan that works across all your creditors. So it might be T-Shirt Corp, Shiny Embroidery, it might be Cooter Inc., it might be Bottles of Australia, it might be any of those suppliers. So speak to them and be honest with them. That's how I conducted all of my crises. I went up to them front up and I said, I'm having these problems, and you'd be surprised of what support I got when I turned up and I said, I'm sorry, but this is what's happening to me. And they said, Mary, we've worked with you for so long, we don't need to have a problem with this. We will support you. So don't be afraid to ask. They'll be there to support you, I'm sure. Stock. Okay, this is another key issue. Now, stock, we all know that stock is crucial for our sales. So in a crisis situation, we need to keep our stock low as possible right now and only have stock that we can move immediately. So keep your stock as low as possible. Sell the stock that you have to your customers right now. Be creative and be open to new opportunities. You've got it sitting there. You've got, 2,000 T-shirts, old T-shirts that you've paid for. Create a logo, ring some of your clients and put a PDF together and sell them at a reduced price. Have valued at, $12.50 with a logo, and then do it at, $8.95 or something, where you're getting a little bit more, but you're getting cash flow into your business. And instead of having terms of 30 days, you do these terms at 7 days. You're trying to create some excitement, some creativity, and ways to get rid of that stock into cash. So don't be afraid to do that. So keep your stock holdings low. Offer branded stock to customers at reduced prices. Package your old stock. So you might have, 200 bottles, plastic bottles. You might have, a couple of hundred key rings. You might have a couple of thousand T-shirts or whatever it is. Get creative with a graphic designer or someone that can create an opportunity. Look at your clientele. If you're working with universities and you're supplying them product already, hoodies or whatever it is, create options. I mean, with governments now, they've got heaps of money to spend. Don't be afraid to talk to these people and get out there and get under their noses. So package your old stock with the idea of turning this stock into cash immediately. Don't offer a 30-day settlement. In your sale of the item, you're offering it as a special Corona-19 special or whatever. Be creative and then go out cheap and say immediate delivery within 7 days, but payment is, you know, maybe 20% up front and payment due in 7 days. So get across all that with your customers. Communicate with your suppliers too. I mean, I used to ring all my suppliers and say, you know, what run out deals do you have? I used to ring T-Shirt Corp. I used to ring Shiny. All those people I built rapport with, I used to ring them and say, what stock are you sitting on? You know, everyone wants a deal. So if they've got lots of stock and you're cashed up and you can pay them and you can get another 10% discount, I used to go for that because I would rather get the money, get a cheaper product, get the money in, borrow it on my overdraft, and then get the product out and then get paid. And then I'd get a high margin. So be creative and create the opportunities out there that are current there for your customers. In crises, these are times where opportunities will arise. So it's time to act now. So keep the stock down, communicate, negotiate. Once again, get out there and get creative with your stock and create those opportunities. Now, sales and customers. Okay, I love customers and I love sales. So this is, as a business owner, these were, well, I was the only I was the main salesperson. I had agents Australia-wide, but sales, I was the one that closed most of the deals because as a business owner, we know what we can close and we know what discounts we can offer because we know our businesses. So remember, your customers will understand. We're all in the same boat. We have a crisis. Everyone wants to support each other. So we're used to doing face-to-face. I love face-to-face. You know, what can I say? This is my first webinar. I'm imagining all you sitting in front of me and I'm talking to you, you know. So now we're going to connect through Zoom, through Skype, and we're going to follow up on the telephone. But we can promote everything that we would do on a face-to-face through Zoom. You know, you can have your showroom with your products and you can provide all those packages that you're offering through Zoom, and they can see you and they can still connect with you because you've built rapport, and it's perfect time to continue. Don't be frightened to use another medium. I'm doing the same. I have to. I am now a service person, so I'm a consultant, so I now have to use these platforms to connect to people like yourselves. So promote your products through these live communications. Identify the opportunities in the market sectors where you can capitalize on sales. Keep in front of your customers. Be calm and be positive and know you're going to have a confident outcome because you've supported them. They've supported you. So everyone's going to work together. So be honest and tell them what you've got to offer and communicate through them. So in any crisis, there'll always be opportunities. Find products that you can sell to them. Ring those suppliers. You know, now, I mean, I checked on Arid Zone the other day. They're selling heaps of, they're your competitors, of course. So they're selling, I hope they're not listening, of course, but they're selling heaps of hand sanitizers, or there might be masks and stuff like that. So work out what your competitors are doing. See where they're buying them from. Ring those promo companies and find that. So communicate that through your through opportunities in the market centre, and be positive and look for government people, government bodies, because they've got lots of money to get rid of. So good luck with that. Okay, so now we're wrapping it up. So once again, thank you for taking the time to listen to me for this webinar. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I hope I've been of some value. Thank you, Ida, for having me. And I now hand you back.
Lovely. Thanks, Mary. That was a great presentation. Now let's see if we have any questions. feel free to, we'll stay on the line a little bit because no questions have been submitted. So for the participants that are still online, feel free to send something through so Mary can answer it live. Otherwise, should any other questions come to mind after the presentation, please send them through to myself. So my email address is ida@appa.com.au, and Ida is IDA. Now, this afternoon, you will receive a follow-up email with a link of the presentation, the recorded presentation, and also a PowerPoint presentation so you can flick through the slides.
If I may say too, sorry, I forgot to mention, folks, if you have any questions at all, the next step that I have on this slide is that on my website at showmethemoney.com.au, you can go there and I have a free business strategy that I can assist you with. You know, if you have any questions, I offer that for an hour. So if you have any questions at all outside what's here, you're quite welcome to go to my website and check it out. As I said, I have written a book on navigating on how to show your money, from cutting costs to building on sales, brand and marketing and all sorts of things. So the book is there for purchase at any time you like. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary, for offering us that strategy session. I'll also add that to the follow-up email that you guys will all receive this afternoon. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. So basically, on behalf of Mary and APPA, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you all have a lovely afternoon and may you all have a happy and safe Easter. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ida. Bye.